Ancient Egypt. When you hear those words, what comes to mind? Golden masks, right? Towering pyramids, mysterious hieroglyphs. It's a world that feels so familiar, like it's part of our DNA. But what if everything we think we know is just a shadow? What if the real ancient Egypt is completely lost to time? That's what we're going to dig into today. How much can we really know about a world that's vanished? Now this quote, it's not actually about Egypt. It's from an elder in the Colombian Amazon talking about ancient rock art. But it just perfectly nails what we're all doing when we look to the past, doesn't it? We're looking for that world of knowledge, for some kind of deeper connection. And the Egyptians? Well, they definitely left one behind. The real question is, do we still have the key to unlock it? And there it is. That's the heart of the problem. The guides, the ancient Egyptians themselves, are gone. Their language, their beliefs, their whole way of seeing the universe, it's all faded away. So we're left here trying to piece together a ghost from the few fragments it left behind. So where do you even start? Well, let's start with the most solid, most undeniable things they left us. The pyramids. I mean, you can't get more real than that. But even these stone giants, which we've studied for centuries, are holding on to some incredible secrets. And it turns out, the biggest mysteries might be right under our feet. It's so easy to look at a place like the Giza Plateau and think, yep, we've mapped every single inch of this place. But that's just not true. Our most advanced technology is starting to show us that what we see on the surface, well, that might just be the tip of the iceberg. And the tech here is amazing. We're talking about satellite imaging that can see deep under the sand. Data from these satellites, when you overlay it on Google Earth, shows these bizarre straight-line shadows pointing right at the pyramids. Are they undiscovered tunnels? Some kind of natural fissure? We honestly have no idea. And just think about that number for a second. 31 meters. That's over 100 feet down. And this isn't in the sand. This is below the solid bedrock that the Great Pyramid is built on. We're not talking about a little hidden room. We're talking about massive, unexplained empty spaces at the very foundation of the most famous monument in the world. Wow. Okay, so if the ground itself is a mystery, let's turn to our next best tool, the writing. You'd think hieroglyphs would give us a direct line into the ancient Egyptian mind, but the voices that speak to us from these texts, they're confusing, they contradict each other, and they're filtered through thousands of years of static. So here's one voice we hear. This is from a text about the mythological battles of the god Horus. It's violent, it's graphic, it's incredibly intense. This gives us a picture of a world of divine warfare and pretty brutal justice. It's a powerful and, frankly, unsettling glimpse into their worldview. But then, from the exact same civilization, we get this. It's practical advice. It's the kind of thing you tell your kid, hey, don't hang out with the wrong crowd. It's calm, rational, and focused on everyday life. So how do you square these two things? The cosmic bottle and the down-to-earth advice. That's the puzzle.
And the problem goes way deeper. See, we're not reading the original documents, not even close. We're reading copies of copies of copies. It's a process called textual transmission, and you can think of it like a giant game of telephone played across thousands of years. Every time a scribe copied a text, there was a chance for a mistake or a little change to creep in.
And these challenges pop up everywhere. You'll find lists of kings where the names are so messed up they're almost useless. The numbers for how long they reigned, totally corrupted. We even have proof of sculptors changing hieroglyphs from what the scribe originally wrote. It's a total minefield of uncertainty. Okay, so if the texts are a tangled web, what about archaeology? Let's turn to the hard physical stuff, the artifacts. Surely that gives us the real truth, right? Well, as we're about to see, the silent record of objects can be just as confusing, and sometimes the way we've dug for it has actually destroyed the very truth we were looking for. Archaeology can tell us some amazing things, like the sheer brute force they used. Out at the quarries, you can see the evidence of this incredible process. They'd heat the granite with huge fires, then pound it to create channels, then use fire again to split off these massive blocks. It's an absolutely mind-boggling feat of engineering, told only by the scars they left in the rock. And then you have this, a quote from an archaeologist in the late 1800s. He was excavating royal tombs and found tons and tons of ancient jar stoppers, each one a tiny little piece of the historical puzzle. And what did he do? He decided to only keep the beautiful ones. He literally threw away history because he didn't think it looked nice enough. The record was changed forever, just based on one guy's taste. And this slide just shows you the night and day difference in approaches. When a team re-excavated a tomb in the 1960s, they were incredibly careful, digging a tiny tunnel, using the dirt they removed to support the walls. Compare that to a Milano, who just cleared out whole rooms and chucked whatever he didn't find interesting. It shows how the very act of digging for truth can end up burying it for good. So where does that leave us now? Today, we have our most powerful tool yet, modern science. DNA analysis, genetic mapping. You think this stuff would give us the hard, objective facts. But science is a tool used by people, and it comes with its own history and its own baggage. So here we go. A recent scientific study gives us this nice, neat chart. The genetic ancestry of one ancient Egyptian broken down into precise percentages. It looks so clean, so final. 74% from here, 21% from there. You might look at this and think, great, we've answered the question of where the Egyptians came from. But hold on. This whole question of the origins of the Egyptians is historically a really loaded one. Early Egyptology was tangled up in some really ugly racial theories, like this Hamitic hypothesis, which was basically an attempt to prove that the amazing civilization of Egypt couldn't have been built by Black Africans. These so-called scientific ideas were directly tied to the justification of slavery, and that's a history you just can't ignore. So it forces you to ask a really tough question. When we use modern labels like Neolithic Mesopotamian, are we actually getting closer to their truth? Or are we just forcing our own modern maps and our own complicated ideas about race onto the past? Does the science really show us their world? Or does it just reflect our own modern obsessions? And this all brings us to a final thought. Maybe the whole idea of finding the one true ancient Egypt is the wrong goal. Because it seems like every tool we use, every lens we look through, just shows us a completely different version of that lost world. Look through the historian's lens and you get this. Egypt is a neat list of dynasties and kings. It's a political timeline to be organized and cataloged. Clean, simple, categorical. But then you look through the lens of a mystic like Edgar Cayce, and suddenly Egypt is a source of folksy spiritual wisdom for today. It's a wellspring of timeless truth. And then you look through the biblical lens, and Egypt is something else entirely. It's the land of slavery, the villain in a story of liberation. It's a symbol of oppression that must be escaped. 3 totally different Egypts, all from our attempts to see the same past. And that's the thought I really want to leave you with. What if every tool we use to look into the past, from a shovel to a satellite to a DNA sequencer, is really just a mirror? And when we peer into the darkness, hoping to see them, all we really see is a reflection of ourselves, our own time, our own questions, our own faces, just staring back at us from the dust. What are we really looking for when we look for Egypt?